My male clients have taught me a lot of things in my clinical practice, and one of the main things they've taught me is how difficult it is for men to ask for help. If you think about it, women go to psychotherapy and they don't have the same pressures of what to say or what to do. It's natural for us. I mean, we're used to networking, we're used to letting down our guard. We find a therapist, we're able to open up and talk. We don't feel judged for communicating emotional things on a level of just deep intimacy and crying in front of another person. For men, these things are very difficult. They grew up in a society that taught them that men aren't allowed to cry, men are supposed to keep their personal issues to themselves. Many men feel badly or weak when they open up and cry, when they're vulnerable. Therapy is so important for men and women, and it is vital for men's mental health to go to therapy. When men are suicidal, they're much more likely to be lethal than women are. And part of that is because they're just so full of anger and angst and sadness and grieving that has never been able to express. When men find a partner, usually that partner becomes almost analogous to their emotional outlet. That partner helps draw them out. That partner helps emote for them. And this is why therapy can help so much, because it can strengthen men so that they can be an equal emotional partner. I'm going to give you several reasons I think therapy is so beneficial for men. And guys, I hope if you're struggling with anything, and even if you're not, if you just want more insight, if you feel like you grew up in a family where guys were taught to numb their emotions, or they can't even express what they're feeling, it gets in the way with them managing anger and anxiety and depression, then I think you owe it to yourself to go to therapy. You are worth it. These are the reasons why. First of all, it's a non-judgmental place to really talk about what's going on with you. When guys are around other guys, there's a competitive edge. And in their family of origin, even though parents may want them to open up, when a guy does, it's difficult. And many times, fathers in that family in particular don't know how to handle it when they see their son being what they consider weak, which is actually emotional. It's a strength. But because of our warped sense of what emotions is, this is very difficult. When you open up to someone who is non-judgmental, they don't have anything to gain or not gain from you being honest. It's a freedom like you've never felt before. Secondly, it's a good way to recover from past trauma or from toxic masculinity. Most of the men I work with have been teased or ridiculed or peer pressured into thinking thoughts that they really were not natural to them. It was more being a man, being a tough guy. And when you start dealing with that, reflecting on that and what that did to the way you feel emotions, you feel feelings, it's a big deal. And being able to talk about that and work through that trauma is going to help you free yourself to be more honest and direct in relationships, to own your feelings and to actually celebrate them rather than try to hide them away. Thirdly, it helps with unlearning this whole idea that getting therapy is a crutch. I think when you go to therapy, you realize this is no crutch. This is a medical necessity. Your mental health is as important as your physical. And when you unlearn all these silly ideas or just things that were pressures that were forced on you in a society that was trying to squeeze you into a form that you're not, you're going to feel so much better. I tell you guys, it is imperative that you go to therapy. And I think your relationships will get stronger. Let's face it, when you can handle your own, what you're feeling, and you can own it without feeling defensive or like you're being weak or like you're being something other than the man that you are, It's going to help your partner connect to you. They see you as more confident, more in control, and self-reliable with what you're feeling. And lastly, you have an opportunity to alter the course of your whole story. Let's say you're struggling with past abuse or trauma or anything you went through. When you may feel like every relationship you get into right now is affected by that. Well, after you go to therapy, you can change that. Like, you can turn that completely around. You don't need to keep carrying that around with you. Why would you want to carry that baggage? So I'm not going to force you into going into therapy because I can't, but I am going to tell you that men who go to therapy really do end up feeling so much freer, so much more able to be the man that they thought they were, that they wanted to be. And that alone is a good enough reason to go to therapy.